It only took a second. 17th July 2018. I never knew that it could take only a second to fall in love. That day, a young man went to a company for a job interview. It happened to be lunchtime, so the interview was postponed until the afternoon. He stood near the small security booth, hiding under its shade, going over everything he had prepared for the interview, wondering if he would get the job. His mind was drowning in worries. Then, from the office entrance during the lunch break, she came running out like a little child. She wasn't the most beautiful girl in the world, she wasn't dazzling, but to him, she became everything. She wore a white t-shirt with blue writing across the chest, blue jeans, and pink shoes. It took only a second, just 1 second, to fall in love with her. In that moment, everything slowed down. The world around him blurred, and she alone shined brightly, like seeing the moon in the middle of daylight. That was the first time he truly felt what love was. And so, during the interview, he gave everything he had, not for the job, but for the chance to see her face every single day. On his way home, his heart was full of thoughts. He wasn't afraid of failing the interview. He was afraid of never seeing her again. That night, he couldn't sleep. If he didn't get the job, he had already planned to wait outside the office after work hours just to catch a glimpse of her face. Everywhere he looked, he saw her. He held his phone tightly every day, waiting for the interview result. More than wanting the job, he wanted the chance to see her again. And fate smiled on him. He got the job. Without knowing she already belonged to someone else, he walked into that new office full of happiness. He tried to sit near her. Little by little, his love grew beyond control. Then one day, he found out she already had someone. He swallowed all his feelings in silence. His tears soaked his pillow at night. The love he carried became a one-sided love. But as time passed, they grew closer. They became comfortable with each other. A bond formed. And love, like cancer, spread until he could no longer control it. Eventually, his feelings spilled out. And somehow, in the hidden corners of her heart, he began to exist too. They started going out together. They sat by the lake talking for hours. One night on the way home, she saw a frog and got scared. Without thinking, she reached out and held on to him. At that moment, his breathing stopped. When two hearts come close enough, it feels like blood starts flowing backward. That was how it felt. At 25th December 2018, that night, there was a company staff dinner party. Earlier in the afternoon, he went shopping with her little cousins to help her buy clothes for the event. She chose a dress she really liked, one that was a little too thin and showed more of her chest than he was comfortable with. Because he was already deeply in love with her, he worried. Even though the weather was hot and heavy, he wore his jacket over himself the entire time, thinking only of her, wondering if she might feel cold or if her dress revealed too much. He arrived at the party drenched in sweat, but he didn't care. All he cared about was her. After the party, neither of them wanted to go home yet, so they walked together to a park. While they were walking, she looked at him and asked, "Aren't you hot wearing that jacket?" He smiled and answered, "Your dress is thin and it's a little low cut. I thought you might feel cold, so I wore it instead." They sat together in the park, talking quietly under the night sky. Without ever confessing that they were in love with each other, they kissed. Two strangers who had somehow become each other's world forgot about time completely. They forgot about going home. Only when the park was closing did they finally step outside and remember reality. It was late, and finding a taxi was difficult. Worried about her safety, he insisted on taking her home, even though she lived far away in the northern part of the city while he lived in the south. He didn't think about how hard it would be for him to return. He only wanted to stay near her a little longer, so he took her all the way home. After they became lovers, they went everywhere she wanted to go. They laughed, travelled, rowed boats together, and filled their days with love. Even though she still belonged to someone else, he stayed by her side, not because he wanted to possess her, but simply because he loved her. Still, every day, sadness lived inside him. He always wondered when the day would come when he would be left behind. She had a habit of biting and breaking her nails, so he always carried a nail clipper with him. Even once, while visiting a pagoda together, standing right in front of Buddha, he held her hand, noticed her broken nail, and without caring about anyone around them, he gently clipped it for her. That was how much he loved her. They loved each other so deeply. They were so happy. When he had to travel for work, even though she was sick, she followed him all the way to the end of the trip because she wanted to stay close to him. During those trips, they loved fiercely and happily, sharing both passion and peace. Every morning they woke up, they sent messages, told each other, "I love you," and never let the connection between them fade. One day, while they were dating at the park near her house, he jokingly pointed at two dragonflies flying together. She laughed. Not just laughed. She laughed with the pure innocence of a child, wearing the most beautiful smile he had ever seen. And in that moment, he fell even deeper in love. She once told him, "Efforts are louder than words." He was never someone who gave up easily, so he gave everything. He tried harder, loved harder, sacrificed more, and little by little, their love grew bigger. Even at work, when he suddenly wanted to kiss her, they would exchange glances, secretly send little messages, and wait for the quietest moment near the restroom corner just to steal a kiss. They loved recklessly. They loved without caring about anything else. When she got sick at work and couldn't eat anything, he searched everywhere just to find hot water so he could make rice porridge for her. He took care of her with all his heart. It wasn't because he wanted her to love him more. It wasn't for reward. Without even realizing it, his heart had stopped belonging to himself. Everything in him had become only for her. One day, fate became cruel to the boy. Because of family business problems, financial struggles, and the heavy responsibilities that had been passed onto his shoulders, he fell into deep depression. He was drowning so badly that he even began thinking about ending his own life. But the girl pulled him out of that darkness with everything she had. She did everything she could for him. She kept him safe. She loved him. She gave him warmth, strength, comfort, and endless kindness. She became the light that saved him. But because of those problems, the boy became too focused on the future. He was so busy worrying about money, responsibilities, and how to protect her from financial hardship that he failed to notice something far more important: her loneliness, her exhaustion, her silent pain. While he was trying to build a better future, the love on her side was slowly running out of strength. He didn't notice how tired she was becoming. Because of money problems, he worked harder and harder, believing that earning more would protect her from suffering. But as he chased stability, the warmth between them slowly began to fade. He only wanted to give her the best things in life, but in overthinking everything, he failed at giving her the most important thing of all: his presence. And little by little, she started growing cold toward him. Because of emotional exhaustion, she began searching for her own way to heal her loneliness. Problems started rising between them. Arguments happened. She even made the decision to leave. The boy apologized again and again. He begged her to stay. He told her he wanted their warmth back the way things used to be. He pleaded with all his heart, because even though he had failed in the most important ways, his love for her had never stopped growing. Then the storms became stronger. She asked for a break, and then she said the words that nearly killed him. "I think I don't love you anymore." Those words shattered him. It felt like his chest had been torn open. Every day in the office he still had to see the same face he loved so much. But now that face had become cold and distant. He fell back into darkness. His spirit collapsed completely. Every day he lived with the feeling that he was ready to surrender to the world. He poured all of his pain onto paper, with tears, with blood, with everything left inside him. He wrote and wrote, believing that when the pages of that notebook finally ran out, he would leave this world too. He poured every feeling from his heart into those pages. He stopped eating. He stopped drinking. His stomach illness became worse and worse, and along with it, his will to keep living slowly disappeared. One day, she came back into his life. For the boy who had been drowning in pain, feeling as if he had lost everything because of his own mistakes, it felt like a dead tree growing new leaves again. His heart began to feel alive once more. He tried with everything he had to keep living, to never repeat the same mistakes, to love her better than before, and to take better care of her. He gave his all, hoping she could love him again the way she once did. Slowly, little by little, things started becoming better between them. As for him, he worked hard in everything with only one thought in his heart, that they had to have a future together. He endured everything because of her. He imagined their future. He tried to build it with his own hands. Both of them tried so hard to make their relationship work again. 3rd June 2023. With a heart trembling between heaven and hell, feeling as if he were standing on a single strand of hair, the boy gathered all his courage and asked her to marry him. He chose the beach for his proposal because he wanted the ocean itself to witness his love. Why the beach? Because to him it was the meeting point of two worlds, the underwater world and the world of warm-blooded creatures. He believed that if he proved his love there, it would become a promise to love her until his very last breath. And for a boy who panicked whenever he got too nervous, she said yes. He felt the same happiness he had felt the very first time she allowed him to love her. In his eyes, she looked unbelievably beautiful. Tears rolled down from her eyes. She was so lovable. He was so happy. And they kissed. They loved each other so fiercely. They loved each other with everything they had, not only in quiet moments on the bed. Even while traveling, even inside a friend's car, when love overwhelmed them, they would stop by the roadside on the highway and love each other recklessly in the back seat. That was how deeply they loved. Sometimes, when traveling with friends, desire would suddenly rise between them, and they would pretend they needed to use the bathroom only to secretly return to the hotel for a little while, just to lose themselves in each other again. That was the kind of love they had, wild, reckless, and unforgettable. Even though he was never someone who woke up early, during the time of COVID, the boy worried so much about her that he started waking up early every single morning to drive across the city, north and south, just to pick her up and take her home. While he was driving, she would feed him breakfast by hand. And when they arrived at the office before going inside, they would sit in the car together, stealing small moments of love before the day began. They were just two young people, always trying to love each other in every possible moment. Two strangers loving each other so deeply. When she got infected with COVID, he stayed close enough to catch it from her too. But because he was afraid she would feel guilty or become depressed, he lied and told her it was just a normal sickness. He sacrificed his own health just to keep her from feeling bad. He comforted her. He took care of her. He made sure she never felt alone. Even when both of them had COVID, even when roads were blocked and everything was difficult, he still found a way to buy food and things that could help her feel stronger, and he brought them to her. That was how much he loved her. That was how much he was willing to sacrifice. Slowly, warmth returned between them. They talked about their future. They tried to fix everything that had once gone wrong between them so it would never happen again. They were happy together, and they faced every hardship side by side. After informing both families, they decided they would get married. Their parents agreed, and the two of them began preparing for their marriage registration together. They went shopping for clothes. Whatever she wanted to wear, whatever kind of wedding she dreamed of, he made sure she could have it. The day she went to choose her dress for the registration day, she looked unbelievably beautiful in his eyes. She came out wearing one dress after another, asking him again and again, "Is it pretty? Do I look good?" But to him, she looked far beyond beautiful. She looked like suddenly seeing the full moon appear in the darkest night. He stood there, overwhelmed by happiness, by love, by how perfect she looked, staring at her so deeply that he didn't even want to blink, afraid he might miss even a second of her beauty. In his heart, he kept whispering to himself, "How can someone be this beautiful?" That was how madly he loved her. But inside her heart, there were feelings she never spoke about. She kept trying. She kept believing everything would be okay. She tried so hard for them. 17th July 2024. When the time came to choose the date for signing their marriage papers, he chose the 17th of July 2024. Even though he knew that after the next day, that date would no longer be possible, he insisted on choosing it, because it was the same date, the day he first fell in love with her. He chose it on purpose. He even argued with family just to keep that date, because to him, love had started there, and he wanted forever to start there too. After signing the papers, he wanted them to live together in the same home. But she told him she still wanted to spend more time with her family and wasn't ready to live together yet. He accepted it sadly, because loving her also meant understanding her. She was the kind of girl who often tripped while walking, the kind who always dropped things while eating, the kind who got angry when she was hungry and hadn't eaten, the kind who wore shoes without socks, a girl who looked strong but inside was fragile and delicate, and he loved every little part of her. 9th September 2024. Together they moved to Thailand with hearts full of love and dreams of living happily together for the rest of their lives. They held each other's hands tightly and walked forward, ready to face whatever hardships came their way. But hardship was already waiting for them. They searched desperately for jobs. Whenever stress, sadness, or disappointment came, they held on to each other and gave each other strength. When the boy cooked, the girl would come and help him beside him, sitting close, talking softly, filling the kitchen with warmth. Every time he cooked, he always let her taste the food first, because he always wanted to give the best things first to the woman he loved. She would taste it and honestly tell him, if it's bland, it's bland. If it's too salty, it's too salty. And when it turned out exactly the way she liked, she would gently raise her little thumb and say, "It's really good." He loved seeing that adorable face so much that he cooked for her every single day. At first, she never wanted to learn how to cook, but later, when he finally got a job, she wanted to cook for him too. So, with whatever little she knew, she tried her best. Because he worked night shifts, she would quietly cook late at night after he came home, trying not to wake him, so that when he woke up, there would be food waiting for him. For someone with little cooking experience, it wasn't easy. The taste wasn't always perfect, but to him every dish she made was the most delicious meal in the world. They faced financial struggles too. There were days when they barely had enough money even to buy snacks or go outside. With the little money they had, they ate just enough not to stay hungry. And still, hand in hand, they kept loving each other. They always prayed for help from God. One day, while she was trying desperately to find work, she finally received a job offer. Both of them were so happy. He started imagining everything, what he would cook for her every day, how he would prepare her lunchbox, how he would take her to work, and how he would pick her up after work. Just thinking about it made him happy. But fate was not kind to the two lovers. After receiving the job offer, she was suddenly rejected again. She broke down completely. She cried endlessly, collapsing under the weight of disappointment and sadness. The boy stayed by her side, comforting her with everything he had, pulling her out of that darkness little by little. Together, they started trying again. They struggled together, fought through life together, always looking at each other and giving each other strength. At the same time, things were not going well for the boy either. He had to leave his job. During that difficult period, he took every kind of work he could find. They kept fighting side by side. Whenever problems came, whenever work became difficult, whenever life became heavy, they encouraged each other and endured it together. One day, she came home from school and mentioned she had an interview to attend, but she had already decided not to go. "There's no point, I probably won't get it anyway," she said. The boy encouraged her gently. "Just go and try, maybe you'll get it. There's nothing to lose by trying, just go, okay?" The next day, unexpectedly, she got the job offer. They were both unbelievably happy. She wanted to tell him so badly that she kept checking his room again and again, wondering if he had woken up yet. He was someone who always woke up late. She waited impatiently, and the moment he woke up, she ran to him with excitement and told him. They were both so happy. They hugged each other tightly, as if holding on to that moment forever. And once again, he started imagining everything. Now I can finally do all the things I wanted for her. He prepared everything so she could settle comfortably into her new office. Work started becoming better, but slowly. Their relationship started growing colder. They stopped paying attention to the little things. They forgot that the destruction of something beautiful often begins with something very small. A tiny crack at the foundation. Neither of them noticed it. Then the boy, who had been deeply depressed from being unemployed, finally got a new job too. And it was a job he truly loved. She supported him fully, doing her best to help him get there. On the day he was supposed to start work, he asked her what he should wear. He happily wore the shirt she chose for him and went to work full of energy. Every day on his way to the office, he whispered to himself, "I'm going to make a lot of money. I'll make sure the woman I love never lacks anything. Anywhere she wants to go, anything she wants to eat, anything she wants, I'll give it to her." And it wasn't only through hard work. He prayed too. Every day he prayed for her. May she be healthy. May she be safe. May her work go well. May she never have to face sadness. Even after coming home exhausted from work, he never rested first. He would cook for the woman he loved, because whenever she ate something delicious, she would always smile. And he wanted to see that smile forever. But sometimes it only takes a needle-sized wound for something to begin breaking. And slowly, that wound started growing. The boy was looking too far into the future. He forgot about the present. He worked too hard. When she sent him messages, he only read them quickly from the notification bar, afraid that if he got distracted, he might lose his job. He kept her words in his heart, but he kept working. And while he was doing that, he never realized how lonely she was becoming. He loved her deeply, but he didn't know how to show it enough, and she grew tired of loving someone who loved silently. Because of his actions, she started becoming distant. She drifted away from him. Her heart slowly turned towards someone else. Other men, even knowing she already had someone, kept contacting her. The boy knew. He knew everything, but he said nothing. He kept the pain to himself. And alone in silence, he cried secretly in the bathroom, letting his heart break where no one could see. One day, the boy and the girl finally sat down and had a serious conversation. The girl looked at him and quietly said she was going to leave. "I don't love you anymore," she said. At that moment, it felt as if the boy had died while still sitting there. His whole spirit collapsed. The pain was so deep that it was impossible to describe. She told him she could no longer love him like a lover anymore. Inside his heart, his entire world shattered. Everything he had built, everything he had dreamed of, felt like it disappeared in a single moment. He was drowning in regret, wishing desperately for just one more chance to fix all the mistakes he had made. He cried uncontrollably, holding on to her tightly. He begged her not to leave. He pleaded again and again, asking her to stay. When the person you love more than your own life is about to walk away, you understand what death feels like before it even comes. But the girl refused. Again and again, she said she didn't want to continue anymore. She asked him for only two things. First, she wanted him to sign the divorce papers. Second, she wanted both families to be informed only after the divorce was finished. The pain in his chest became so heavy that he could barely breathe. It felt like someone was asking him to offer up his own life. He sat there in silence. She never knew that to kill someone you don't always need a gun or a knife. Sometimes destroying their heart is enough. The boy had made her his whole world, and now that world was leaving him. He had nowhere left to hide. For her happiness, he chose to sacrifice himself and let her go. Through tears, he kept telling her the same words again and again. "If one day you want to come back, please come back. No matter what happened, no matter what happens, I will accept you." He begged her softly, asking for just one thing, that if even the smallest feeling of wanting to return ever appeared in her heart, she should come back. "I will always love you. Please remember that." He repeated those words over and over, but nothing reached her heart. His soul felt like it had been locked inside a prison, and she was the only one who could set him free, but she never knew that. Still, he asked her for one last favor. He asked her to stay with him until the end of the month. Maybe things could still be fixed. Maybe there was still a little hope left. He wanted one last chance to love her, with everything he had to give her something even greater than his best. He also begged because he was afraid that if she had to leave the house suddenly, life would become too difficult for her. She never realized that by agreeing to her request, he felt like he was handing over his own life. And so, saying they should stay apart for a while, the girl left the house for 2 days. Those 2 days felt like hell. The boy felt like he was dying. He stopped eating. In one single day, he finished an entire bottle of alcohol by himself. His stomach illness returned. Whatever he tried to eat, he threw up. Sometimes there was blood. It felt like his body rejected everything except alcohol. Like a broken man, he became afraid of light. He covered every place where sunlight could enter and stayed only in darkness. Whenever he came home, he cried. At work, every time he thought of her, he would run to the bathroom just to cry alone. He couldn't hold on to pride. He couldn't hate her. He couldn't let her go, even though he knew her heart had already begun to turn towards someone else. Inside his mind, he kept repeating the same words. If this is fate, then I still want this fate. Even though he knew it was destroying him. He stopped talking to everyone. There were no words left inside him anymore. He stayed alone. He hurt himself in places she could never see. Pain no longer meant anything to him. Every single day, he thought about ending his own life. But because she said she would come back for a while, he forced himself to survive those 2 days. Inside that house, everywhere he looked, he could only see her shadow, her smile, her memories. Tears kept falling, and he cried until there was nothing left inside him. When the girl came back, they stayed close again, just like he had asked, just for a little while. They loved each other gently, warmly, like before, and just like in the old days, they loved each other wildly in bed, desperately, passionately, until all their strength was gone, until there was no more sweat left to fall. To the boy, every moment felt like the last. He wanted to experience everything with her one final time. They laughed together again. They created small, happy moments. He cooked all the dishes she loved, making sure they tasted perfect. One day, he bought fried noodles from her favorite shop and ran home like a child, afraid they would get cold before she could eat them. They fed each other. He kept eating even when his stomach hurt, just because he wanted to see her smile. He stayed beside her all the time, sitting quietly, watching her, because deep inside, he kept thinking, what if this is the last time I get to see her? And when she was talking to someone else, someone new, he cried silently inside. What the boy wanted was actually very simple. He wanted to open his eyes every morning and see her face first. And until the moment he closed his eyes at night, he wanted her face to be the last thing he saw. That was all. But fate was no longer on his side. As the day she would leave grew closer and closer, the boy felt like his heart was being torn apart. He became afraid of time itself. He apologized for all his mistakes. He made promises that he would never repeat them again. He begged for one more chance. But the girl could no longer accept it. The boy, who felt like his life had been taken away, was left drowning in regret. Even so, he made her one final promise. He told her that he would keep living with only one hope in his heart. Maybe one day she would come back. A boy who no longer had the chance to fix his mistakes wanted nothing more than to start over from the very beginning. He wanted to rebuild everything. He wanted to become someone better. He wanted to make sure he would never make the same mistakes again. He felt like he could never love anyone else. So, with a heart full of pain, he made a decision. He would continue living as the person she once wanted him to be. He promised her that if she ever came back, he would already be the man she had hoped for. Even though he was still alive, his soul had already died. And so the boy kept waiting for the day the girl might return. With arms full of regret and a heart that was no longer loved, I don't think there is much more to explain about what happened to that boy's life. Will she come back? Or will every Christmas from now on be another day of tears? It only took a few seconds to fall in love with someone, but that very same few seconds were enough to make someone die while still alive. This story feels like the breathing of a love that is both painfully real and deeply heartbreaking. The boy proved, "I love you," not with words, but with actions. Driving her to and from places, cooking for her, taking care of her when she was sick, even being willing to sacrifice his own life for her. But sometimes in love it is not about how much you love, but how you love that matters more. While he was trying so hard for their future, he slowly lost the warmth, understanding, and presence that she needed in the present. In love, it is not enough for one person to keep sacrificing. You also need to notice when the other person is silently hurting. What hurts the boy now is not just the pain of losing her, but the regret of, if only I had one more chance to fix it. And that is the cruelest pain. The words, "I don't love you anymore," do not begin in a single moment. They are born slowly, from silent damage built over time. But when someone has truly loved, they cannot simply hate. Even while drowning in pain, being able to say, "If you ever want to come back, please come back." That is the deepest form of love. This boy did not lose in love. He simply loved with everything he had. Some people may never become ours, but they become the one person we can never forget for the rest of our lives. She became that person.